Negroes in America today. I'm a field Negro. The masses are the field Negroes. When they see this man's house on fire, you don't hear these little Negroes talking about our government is in trouble. They say the government is in trouble. Imagine a Negro, our government. I even heard one say our astronauts. They won't even let him near the plant. And our astronauts, our Navy. That's a Negro that's out of his mind. That's a Negro that's out of his mind. Just as the slave master in that day used Tom, the house Negro, to keep the field Negroes in check, the same old slave master today has Negroes who are nothing but modern Uncle Toms, 20th century Uncle Toms, to keep you and me in check, keep us under control, keep us passive and peaceful and nonviolent. That's Tom making you nonviolent. It's like when you go to the dentist and the man is going to take your tooth. You're going to fight him when he starts pulling. So they squirt some stuff in your jaw called Novocaine to make you think they're not doing anything to you. So you sit there, and because you got all that Novocaine in your jaw, you suffer peacefully. Blood running all down your jaw. And you don't know what's happening because someone has taught you to suffer peacefully. The white man do the same thing to you in the street. When he don't want to put knots on your head and take advantage of you and don't have to be afraid of you fighting back, to keep you from fighting back, he get these old religious Uncle Toms to teach you and me. They're just like Novocaine, suffer peacefully. Don't stop suffering, just suffer peacefully. As Reverend Cleave pointed out, let your blood flow in the streets. This is a shame. And you know he's a Christian preacher. If it's a shame to him, you know what it is to me. Because nothing in our book, the Quran, as you call it, Quran, teaches us to suffer peacefully. Our religion teaches us to be intelligent, be peaceful, be courteous, obey the law, respect everyone. But if someone puts his hand on you, send him to the cemetery. That's a good religion. In fact, that's that old-time religion. That's the one that Ma and Pa used to talk about. An eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth, and a head for a head, and a life for a life. That's a good religion. And then anybody, no one resents that kind of religion being taught but a wolf who intends to make you his meal. This is the way it is with the white man in America. He's a wolf, and you a sheep. Anytime a shepherd, a pastor, teach you and me not to run from the white man, and at the same time teachers don't fight the white man, he's a traitor to you and me. Don't lay down our life all by itself. No. Preserve your life. It's the best thing you got. And if you got to give it up, let it be even Stephen. The slave master took Tom and dressed him well and fed him well and even gave him a little education. Gave him a long coat and a top hat and made all the other slaves look up to him. Then he used Tom to control them. The same strategy that was used in those days is used today by the same white man. He take a Negro, so-called Negro, and make him prominent, build him up, publicize him, make him a celebrity, and then he becomes a spokesman for Negroes and a Negro leader.
Salaam Alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu rasulullah wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and final messenger. Family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes, welcome back to the Feachaz. I greet you all in peace and love with no hatred of our heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. And as promised, family, we are going to look at what Dr. Umar Johnson had to say with regards to black men and black women. This particular issue that Dr. Umar Johnson has raised has caused quite a stir in the black community. For those of you who don't know Dr. Umar Johnson, he is a psychologist. He is really, he's educated, intelligent, articulate, charismatic, and I keep saying this, and I have to reiterate, he is probably the smartest, most educated Pookie PhD, or PhD Pookie rather, in human history. He didn't have to be a Pookie. You don't have to be a Pookie and Ray. He just chose to be that. He was somebody who got a lot of support, but he chose to go the route of being a Pookie and Ray. So because he chose that path, you know, people who kind of listen to him now, they're listening to him strictly because he's articulate. But otherwise, he's not. I mean, he talks about very serious topics and he tackles them very, very well. But the actions are not matching the articulates at all. And one of the things that is absolutely not matching is his kind of approach when it comes to black relationships. Right? So if y'all can hear this, just put number ones in the chat, please. Make sure, let me know if the sound is fine. But put number one in the chat if y'all can, or if y'all are getting good sound and whatnot. And let us kind of like dive into this, right? So I want to essentially preface this with Dr. Umar Johnson's position on the late Kevin Samuels. And Dr. Umar Johnson, he wasn't particularly a fan of Umar Johnson. Sorry, not Dr. Umar Johnson wasn't a very fan of Kevin Samuels, rather. Right. However, like he is somebody who is kind of, you can tell that he's affected. Put it that way. He's affected by black feminism, and he's always kind of spoke in a manner that perpetuates black feminism. He's always kind of like talked that way. Like this is something that he's always done, right? So we want to respect his accolades in terms of education and whatnot, but we also want to critique some of his points. Okay, so like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. Let's just get into it. Let's go over here.
Speaking of that, I've seen a video of yours where you said that feminism has conditioned black women to view black men as the enemy. It has. Feminism was financed by the CIA. Gloria, what was her name? Gloria Steinem, I think she was. Right. Yeah. Mother of modern feminism, because traditional feminism goes back to the 1800s, right? With Susan B. Anthony and those white supremacists. But Gloria Steinem was a CIA agent. They They financed her. Her first feminist magazine they paid for. The CIA brought feminism into the white household to get the woman out the house and into the black household to turn the black woman against the black man. To scapegoat us for problems caused for her by white supremacy.
All right, so he's starting off pretty good, right? Explaining feminism. For those of you who've been following the channel, right? Feminism is something that really started as a reaction to slavery, right? And the rights of black men, right? If y'all didn't know, right? That's how feminism really started. It started as a reaction to slavery and black men and things of this nature. Okay, so we mentioned many times that feminism originated because white women were fighting white men over the ownership of their slaves, right? And they would go to the courts, essentially sign what's called anuptial agreements, so they can keep their property after marriage. Because you got to remember that when in Europe, once a woman got married, she was the property of her husband, and that's why they take the last names of their husbands, because they are considered property, and anything that she owns, her husband owns. So he's starting off basically explaining feminism in a correct manner. Modern feminism, what we know as modern feminism, in terms of, you know, women getting rights and all these like workers' rights and all that kind of stuff. This is not how feminism started, right? Women were always seen as a privileged class. They did not have to work, right? Rather, they were to be provided for. And during World War II, modern feminism was funded by very rich bankers in order to get women working, because women were working during World War II because the men were off fighting. This is a long story. This is like the short version, okay? And black feminism is totally different from that, okay? Black feminism essentially tells black women that they don't need no man, and they're strong, independent black women. This is what he's describing, right? He's giving a very brief explanation, so I just want to get detail with that. Okay, so let's keep going.
So, you know, obviously, you know, a big thing, obviously, we spoke about the gender wars, you know, earlier. Obviously, there's a lot of conversation nowadays about, you know, the value of what a woman brings and the value of what a man brings in a relationship. And now there's a lot more rhetoric from our women that we hear is, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man, right?
That's pain speaking, though.
Right.
Because most black women know they will never get a man. A black woman can have sex whenever she wants,
Right.
because she's beautiful. She can have a bed mate, but to have a soul mate, she may never get. I have two daughters, 11 and 20, right? My oldest will be 21 this week. Statistically, right? There's a strong chance my daughter could be one of those. I hope she's not. She could be one of those who never get a husband, because only 1 out of 4 gets a husband. You see that? So when a black woman says, I don't need a man, that is a reaction to the reality that I may not get a man.
Okay. So there's a couple of glaring issues here. And let's say for what he's saying, and essentially there's not so much of a problem with what he's saying. You know, that like he's basically defending black women, you know, it's a reaction to not being able to have a man and whatnot. And this is kind of like anecdotal, but it's fine. There's nothing wrong with what he's saying. The issue is, I'm taking umbrage. The issue I'm taking umbrage with is that he is now essentially putting himself in the category of black men who do not want to marry black women. Why do you say that, Bilal? Because he has a daughter with a black woman that he never married. he has a daughter with a black woman that he never married, and he's working off of a hope that he hopes his 22-year-old daughter will not be another statistic like his 20-year-old daughter's mother was. You get it?
This is a sick Negro.
Like how you go there? How do you reason? Anyways, let's keep going, y'all.
So why not preach? Because I understood, you're obviously against interracial relations when it comes to black men with with white women.
With all women. You should only be with the black woman.
And you will say, well, if you can't find a good woman in America, there's
somewhere
plenty
else.
in Africa.
Absolutely.
So why not teach that same rhetoric to our women? Like if you feel
I tell sisters all the time go to Africa. So I know sisters who marry. I just spoke with a sister. She invited me to the wedding. She just married a brother from the continent.
So, but instead of saying they will never get married,
I'll take sisters to Africa who married brothers they met in Africa.
Right.
So yeah,
I think I think there's obviously plenty of black men and black women. So
and what I also tell black women, if
married,
you're going to go get you an African man from the continent,
right,
you're going to have to understand that the way in which you talk to black men in America will not be tolerated over there.
Why the fuck is it tolerated? It's not tolerated here. That's what we're trying to tell them.
Well, over here, I want to say this to us, though. Because we try to act like the way sisters treat us doesn't have a history that we are not at least partly responsible for. Let's be honest. The black woman has had to hold down the black house by herself, although imperfectly. She's had to do it by herself since the mass incarceration of black males began in the 1970s. You understand me? Most of our children are raised by a single mother right now. And it has been that way for about 50 years. So when a sister says, I don't need a man, because she couldn't find one strong enough to hold her down. Or when
he was doing okay until he said that part. Okay. He was doing fine until he said that part. This is not why black women do not have a man, right? There has been an incredible amount of social engineering being poured off in the black community. Like a ridiculous amount.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
My bad, y'all. A ridiculous amount of social engineering, right? Being peddled off in the black community. A ridiculous amount, right? And part of the social engineering project within the black community during the civil rights era, he knows this anyways. Dr. Roman says, no doubt he knows this, is that when white folks were trying to figure out what to do with black folk with this integration stuff, they said, you know what? Instead of giving you jobs, why don't we give your women homes? Okay? Why don't we give your women homes? And as a condition for you getting these free homes and this rent and, free food and stuff and whatnot, as a condition, you cannot have a man in the house. You cannot have a man in the house. This is the short of it. So millions of black women took this deal, in places which were built specifically for black people called projects, so that they can be controlled environmentally and socially and educationally. So this is the part that he's missing here. How is it that you go from black men being strong enough to build entire nations for some other folk for free, okay, to not finding a strong enough black men. This is not, just simply not the case, right? I mean, I understand what he's saying about the mass incarceration. This is part of that social engineering project. However, black women have bought into the propaganda that has been laced in our community in terms of black feminism. You know, without a black family, what else can you have? You can't have a black anything else. You're not going to have a black community. You're not going to have a black business. All you're going to be doing is making sure that the school to prison pipeline is running at full speed. That's all you're going to accomplish. You feel me? So let's just get back to this.
If you meet a woman and you say, sister, I'm strong enough to be your man. You ain't got to work or you ain't got to pay the bills or whatever. Pull back. I got you. And she can't do it because all the other men before you who disappointed her. So what I'm saying is, black men, we got to be patient with our women because we created that personality. We created that. And then we want to act like we didn't play a role. We have to be held accountable for their poor selection. No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection. See, what you're saying, you're selecting a poor mate. And what I'm saying is they don't have much to select one, so of course she's going to end up with a poor mate. And why is she going to end up with a poor mate? Because we as black men are not raising black boys to be the men that our women need. We are not. They out there killing themselves right now. What we doing about it? Unemployed black males, what we doing about it? Pants sagging, weed smoking, what we doing about it? Black men are not raising black boys to be the men our community needs. That is 100% our fault. What I'm saying is she got a right to be angry with us.
Okay, I have to take umbrage with this as well. Right? On the surface, nothing seems incorrect. Just on the surface level, right? That black men need to be patient with black women. Of course, I believe this. You know, I believe that black men need to be patient with black women. Right? But this last part that he said right here, this is a very dangerous statement.
Boys to be the men our community needs. That is 100% our fault.
That part right here. Let me just rewind it again.
To be the men that our women need. We are not. They out there killing themselves right now. What we doing about it? Unemployed black males. What we doing about it? Pants sagging, weed smoking. What we doing about it? Black men are not raising black boys to be the men our community needs.
What's the problem with this statement? That black men are not raising black boys to be the men that they need to be. You know what the issue with this statement is? And it's a big problem because this is a little bit, I don't want to say dishonest, but it's we'll say anecdotal, okay? When black men are in the homes, they are absolutely raising black boys to be the men that they are supposed to be. When they are in the homes, that is the case, that they are actually doing their job. And as a matter of fact, the stats say they're doing their job and they are more involved in the lives of their children than other people groups. When black men are in the homes, that is a fact. The problem is black men are not in the homes to begin with. That is the issue. Well, how are black men not in the homes? As we mentioned this social engineering project that has been going on for the better part of 5-6 decades now, right? However, black women nuke their relationships at an epidemic level, at epidemic rates. They are the ones who are destroying their families, not the men, okay? It's not the black men. Let us be clear. Black women are the ones who are destroying their relationships. So when he is saying that, this is just simply not the case. It's just not grounded in reality. Because when black men are around, they are actually raising strong boys. But when black women are destroying their relationships, then what are the black men supposed to do? They are being incentivized and economically stabilized in order to destroy their relationships. There are absolutely no consequences for black women to destroy their relationships except in the wider black community. And they do this at alarming rates. That's the problem. Not that black men don't know how to raise their sons. That is not the issue at all. Every last one of us knows some sister somewhere that totally annihilated her relationship with some brother even after they had kids. Because, of course, everything he did was wrong and everything she did was right. And she don't need no man. And now here comes the government to be the surrogate father of her children until the next person comes along. We are the only people facing this issue. We are the only people that value that put more value in making kids than getting married. We are not seeing the value in getting married at all. We are seeing the value in making children and taking care of it. Like, this is the women now. This is the women. I take care of my kids. I can take care of my kids. I'm a good mother. And remember I told you a couple of weeks ago about this sister, Muslim on Facebook. She was filming herself pole dancing on Facebook, mind you, and defending herself pole dancing in Facebook, talking about, I know the 6 pillars of Islam and I'm a Muslim and I take care of my kids, my 2 daughters, and I'm a good mom and blah, 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 blah. This is what they do. Just yesterday, we talked about this sister. Every year she got a new husband. 2 kids. And every year she got a new husband. You get me? This is what we are facing. We are not facing an epidemic of inept black fathers. That is not the case. But we are facing an epidemic of black women who absolutely give more value in nuking their relationships and economically bankrupting their exes through the judicial system, because in their minds, money raised children, men don't raise children. That's what we're facing. And that's why we have this problem in the black community of gangsterism. It's because of single mothers, not because of the black fathers are not doing their job. And if it was the opposite, where the black fathers were the single parents, then you would see a sharp drop in gangsterism. A sharp drop. That is the facts, you know. So I really had to take umbrage with that particular part where Dr. Umar Johnson was talking about, you know, let me just rewind that again, man. That was just crazy.
And why is she going to end up with a poor mate? Because we as black men are not raising black boys to be the men that our women need.
That is just insane. That's insane. That's not grounded in anything called reality at all. That is not grounded in reality, what he just said there. At all. If you see stable black families with stable nuclear black families with a father, a mother, and children, raising their children together, the chances of them not being a statistic is incredibly high. But we are the only people walking around with this culture where single motherhood is lauded. So it's not the black men's fault. I'm sorry, Dr. Omar Johnson, you are just dead wrong. This part right here is just dead wrong. It is wrong, wrong, wrong. And the data does not support what you're saying at all. Anyway, let's keep going, yo.
We are not. They out there killing themselves right now. What we doing about it? Unemployed black males, what we doing about it? Pants sagging, weed smoking, what we doing about it?
Show me a gangster, right? Show me one of these gangsters, one of these drill rap crew members and whatnot. Show me that stuff. I'm gonna show you a single parent, man. I'm gonna show you a single mother. I will show you a single mother. Go to any prison on any given date where it is absolutely filled with black folk. And I promise you, the vast majority of these black children in the prison system are raised by single mothers. It's not because the men are not doing their job. It's because the men are being chased out of their homes by the women, so they actually cannot do their job. That is what's going on the ground. All right, let's keep going, yo.
Black men are not raising black boys to be the men our community needs. That is 100% our fault. What I'm saying is she got a right to be angry with us. She got a right to be angry with us. We have not been on our job as black men. If the men are the providers, what have we been providing for our community? I'm not speaking you individually.
Yes.
Because you may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father. But guess what? What are we doing for the community? What are we doing for the children who don't have a father? You don't think the black woman got a right to be angry when she's been raising 2/3 of the kids by herself for 50 years? And the minute she raised her voice, we say she's not humble enough? She had to become masculine to survive the rape, the molestation, the domestic abuse. Are you telling me you can't see how we created that?
I understand that, but she needs to be more selective.
There's a professor. His name is Tommy Curry. Okay, y'all can look it up, right? He's essentially the founder of Black Male Studies, right? And he stumbled on this topic just by accident, right? Because a black man approached him who was sexually abused by his mother. So he went to do research, right? And he found out that this was an epidemic within the black community, and you would be shocked by the amount of black men that were sexually assaulted by women. His name is Tommy Curry. Tommy Curry, check him out, Dr. Tommy Curry, right? And as he's doing his research, he found that this is something that is stemming is not a recent phenomenon or whatever, but this is something that actually stems all the way back from the times of slavery, where both black men and black women did not have autonomy over their own bodies. White men always had access to the bodies of black men, black women rather, and black men for that part, right? This is where buck breaking comes in, okay? So one of the issues that has been prevalent and purported as normal within the black community is sexual deviance. And so when we're talking to them about the Muslims now, when Muslims, we talked about this last time too, when Muslim black men and black women get married, Muslim black men and Muslim black women get married, they are getting married not to build a family or whatnot. They're getting married to do what? To protect themselves from fornication. That's what they say that they're doing. But what they practice, it's almost like the way that the Jews try to avoid the Sabbath, right? It's the same type of thing. They are playing with the law in order to relieve themselves sexually. And so, like I said, with the sister, every year she got a new husband. Every single year. And she doesn't consider that zina. Why doesn't she consider it zina? Is because she's getting married. You get it? So marriage now just becomes something that people say because they have no intention of remaining with their spouse forever. They go into marriage fully intending to divorce the person that they are actually marrying. Why? Because both black men and black women came out of extreme circumstances with regards to sexual autonomy. More so than any other group in history. And even when you're looking at these two brothers on the screen right now, you'll see one of them is light skinned, one of them is more of a mocha color, and then you have Dr. Umar Johnson. He's dark. That is our reality. That is how did we get like that? We got like that because of not having sexual autonomy over our bodies, including the men. So do not think that this issue is something that is exclusive to black women. It is not. Both black women and black men have faced this issue. And it is prevalent. And actually, at the end of the day, it is up to the men to repel this sexual deviance, right? When you look at black men, how is it so prevalent within the black community that we have black men who are not just gay, but absolutely flamboyant? Like flamboyant. You get me? How do you get like that? It has to be something wrong there, right? There has to be something going on. But anyway, let's keep watching Dr. Umar Johnson. Hey, y'all, looky here, man. Look, there's 13 of y'all in the chat right now, or 13 of y'all watching, but how come there's only 6 likes? I don't get that. Like, how difficult is it to like the video, man? Like, what's going on here? Why are there only 6 likes? Come on, put some likes on the screen, man. What the heck? What are y'all doing, man? The bare minimum, y'all can like the videos, man. Bare minimum, right? Thank you. Now the likes will start going up. Yes, thank you. Right. Also, buy me a coffee. Look in the link there. I need some coffee, man. You know, like I work too, man. You get me? No excuse, man. How can some of y'all be in the and just watching and at bare minimum you can like? How difficult is it to like, right? But anyways, let's keep watching, y'all.
Women and taking care of our women. Do you think she would be like that? That personality has a history.
If she's picking Pookie and Ray Ray instead of
You're making her a scapegoat.
No, she's picking a scapegoat.
No.
There's good
Can I ask you a
quality men
question?
that they ignore.
Why she even got it? Why is there even a Pookie in the selection?
You gotta ask her.
No. I'm gonna tell you why there's a Pookie in the selection. Why? Because black men have abandoned black boys and have allowed social media, white media, athletes, and rappers to raise them. That's why she with Pookie. If we never allow Pookie to develop, she would not have a Pookie. If we're going to be men, the first thing we got to do is take responsibility for why our women feel the way they feel.
I can hear that.
I'm not saying that they're right to disrespect, because even if a woman
This is a sick Negro.
I don't know what he's talking about right now, man. I don't know what he's talking about right now, man. Now, what did he just... Let's just rewind this right now, okay? Look here.
why is there even a Pookie in the selection?
You gotta ask her.
No. I'm gonna tell you why there's a Pookie in the selection.
Why?
Because black men have abandoned black boys and have allowed social media, white media, athletes, and rappers to raise them. That's why she with Pookie.
This is a sick Negro.
No black men own any social media platforms, major ones anyways. Black men haven't owned their own music since Def Jam got bought out by, what's that label? I can't remember. Some major record label in the 80s. Black men don't own the NBA. They don't own the NFL. They don't own any of these Roman-style Coliseum sports conglomerates. They don't own any of that. They don't own the schools that don't get funded by the very government that claims to be integrated with the black community. They don't own any of those things. So how are black men responsible for that? How? It's one of y'all got to explain that to me, man. How are black men responsible for that? The enemy owns the media. The enemy owns the NBA. The enemy owns the NFL. The enemy owns all of these programs that convince entire generations of black folk that if you want to be successful, you got to be an entertainer or a comedian or a rapper or whatnot, or a basketball superstar, a gangster. You know, when black folk owned hip hop, it was positive. The second that Jews bought out all of these hip hop labels, that's when you started seeing gangster rap and all this kind of stuff. Those of you who are old enough to remember the 80s and 90s, who remembers the ridiculous amount of propagation against hip hop? Against it. Because of its positive messaging. But the second people like Lear Cohen came into the game and got rich, filthy rich, off of propagating debauchery and devilishness that he would never propagate to his children. Then we started seeing a huge, thick prison, school to prison pipeline within the black community. We started seeing it en masse. En masse. But black folks don't own any of that stuff. Black men are the victims of that media, the same way that black women are. And there has to be a segment of our society that says, if you're not going to own it, if you're not going to control it, then get rid of it altogether because it will always be weaponized against you. Let's keep going, y'all.
If we never allow Pookie to develop, she would not have a Pookie. If we're going to be men, the first thing we got to do is take responsibility for why our women feel the way they feel.
I can hear that.
I'm not saying that they're right to disrespect, because even if a woman disrespects me, right, that still don't give me a right to disrespect her because she's still the queen of the community. Even if she's not acting like it, I'm going to give her that respect. But when I hear brothers talk like this discourse we having now, we act like we don't understand.
No,
There's reasons for that shit.
I do understand. Women are so valuable.
Look, part of the problem, part of the one of the big problems, I mean big problems.
I don't want peace. I want problems always.
Is that black women see themselves as queens. And they see themselves as queens without kings. I can't think of a single, like I'm a black person, right? I'm trying to think of the black family that isn't matriarchal. I'm trying to think of it. You know what I mean? Black women see themselves as queens without kings. So they give orders, they do not take orders. And this is an extremely potent weapon in spiritual warfare, where your women are put in charge of the affairs of the men. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, any community that puts their women in charge will not be successful. We, the black community, are living proof of the truthfulness of that statement. That is part of the problem. Black women think they can do everything. They want to work. They want to, get their education and get their PhD and run a business and this and that. And they want to raise their kids with no man. And they want Scooby snacks for it on top of that.
I don't want peace. I want problems always.
You get it? That is insane. And anyways, let's keep watching, man. Let's keep watching because it's close to Maghrib. I want to go for a few more minutes, and then we'll go break for Salah, and then maybe we'll come back, inshallah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I think women ground men and help them, propel to the next level. I think men get further in life with a woman, right? But if I'm a hardworking man, but I'm only looked at as resources,
Okay.
and then she's ready to jump on Tom, Dick, and Harry because he got flash, he's shining a little bit more, his access to money is quicker than mine. It's kind of hard to have that.
Well, no, one, I agree with you, but that's not all sisters.
No, it's not.
And if you're constantly running into...
Why didn't he use this logic for black men? This is so crazy, man. Oh my gosh. You see how quick he came to he's talking about black men is not raising their kids, and black men are sending their kids to be raised by the basketball players and the football players, and black men have their boys becoming Pookies and Ray Rays. But the second he mentioned a glaring issue, particularly with women, black women in this generation, where their access to their private parts is strictly transactional. This is a problem What does he say? That's not all black women. Like do you talk to black women? Like we know you're, man. This is just insane, man. This is really, like I'm watching this and I'm saying this is like honestly this is really irresponsible of Dr. Umar Johnson, because yeah, I'm not trying to basically take down his credentials or anything, but this is outrageously irresponsible. The issue within the black community is well documented, well documented. With the rise of social media, it has produced an entire generation of young black women who are making career choices based upon twerking. And choosing mates based upon tattoos and rapping and you know what I mean? And being dusty. But he's out here saying that's not all black women, but for black men, we out here raising the Pookies and Ray-Rays. Come on, man. This is disingenuous.
To that type of woman, then the problem is you. Because you're attracting a certain low vibrational energy. Why
not have that same energy for women? You just again you held the man responsible. Because we having a conversation
as men.
Yeah.
I got plenty of interviews with all women where I check them too.
All right.
But as a man, you should not be concerned about what I say to them. No, as men, we should be concerned of what we're going to do to produce a better generation of black males for tomorrow. That's the only that is where we should be focusing.
This I actually agree with him wholeheartedly. To be honest, like this right here is a really good point. That black men, we are actually a part of the problem when it comes to this particular issue. 100%. We choose what's available, and we choose based upon booty and thighs and shaking, the wiggle and the jiggle. This is how we choose our mates. This is actually a fact. This is a fact, right? We have to be honest. So right here, I agree with Dr. Umar Johnson, right? And black men have to be much more intelligent, and the sexual discipline has to be on point when choosing a mate. I actually agree with him on this point. Let's keep going, yo.
Bring the choice of life, right? We understand that, right? I can't have a child unless a woman agrees.
And she can't carry one if you didn't put it in her.
I agree with that 100% too, right? But whether or not, if you want that child or not, she can still make that decision. It's only up to her.
If you don't put a seed in her, nothing else happens. And no woman can make you put a seed in her. So the original act was the responsibility of a man.
True.
This is right here is true. This is true. I will say that he is right about this. Just family, women give access to sex, correct? Just because a woman gives you access to sex, should you take it? Should you take it? And so even Allah himself in the Quran, he commands the men to lower their gaze. Because it doesn't take much for a woman to arouse the desires of a man. It really doesn't take much at all, right? Even average women will be able to arouse the desires of men. So a man now, because his nature is to seek, sex, because that's his nature. You got to understand that a woman ovulates once a month, okay? So that's one egg that she produces per month. And she has a limited amount of eggs that she produces in a lifetime. A limited amount of eggs, right? And because she has a limited amount of eggs to produce in a lifetime, her sexual value is also limited. Men are way different. A single ejaculation from a man produces millions of sperm. So if you think about it mathematically, if that's the case, it won't take but a few men to actually impregnate millions of women. You get me? So, of course, because of this natural disposition, a man by nature would want to sleep with women. So that's where the discipline comes in. Because if you are not disciplined, and if you're not producing families, then you are actually complicit in producing dysfunction within the community. And this is what black men don't understand, because they are thinking in terms of the euphoria that comes with the sexual gratification at that time. So much so that black Muslim marriages are actually run the same way. They are run the same way. They are seen as avenues only to fulfill sexual desire. And if you move like that, then of course you can be manipulated and tricked and honeypot, and all kinds of wicked things can be done to the community because of this one flaw. You get me? So, family, it's getting close to Maghrib right now. I want to ask y'all, should we come back after Maghrib Salat? Because I think this is pretty important. Right? If we come back after Maghrib, then we can, essentially bring in, maybe I'll put in, I'll go in the Eve monks, and then we'll get guests to put in their 2 cents and stuff. Right? What do y'all think? We come back after Maghrib, inshallah? I'll let y'all think about it for a minute. Think about that, and we'll watch this.
Do you believe that the Lord tonight has set you free?
Yes, sir.
Turn around and tell those people. Tell them. I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. I don't like men no more. I said I like women. Women. I said women. I'm not gay. I would not date a man. I would not carry a purse. I would not put on makeup. I will love a woman. Now listen, y'all praise God with him. Hold on, wait a minute. Somebody believe God with him. Hey! We don't just preach condemnation. We preach reconciliation.
I don't want peace. I want problems always.
So what y'all think? We coming back after Maghrib or what? All right, y'all. Let's close it down for now, inshallah. I'll come back after Maghrib, inshallah, and then we'll continue, inshallah. Subhanak wa hamdik, wa shahada ant wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.